Hello, Africa, and welcome to the Kungana podcast. I'm your host, Abu Rengwi. This is more than just a podcast. It is a project aimed at breaking down the boundaries that divide us as a people, the boundaries that divide our beautiful continent. Over the coming years, we will do this by collecting and sharing stories from all parts of Africa, from Malawi to Cameroon, Ethiopia to Libya, Cairo to Harare. We will connect with as many voices as we can. So we invite all fellow Africans to be part of the Kungana Africa project.
Kungana. Connecting Africa.
And tonight we are joined by Dr. Ahmed Adamu, who will shortly introduce himself. Dr. Adamu, welcome to 1000 African Voices.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful. Thanks.
Who is Dr. Ahmed Adamu? How do you describe yourself?
Okay, my name is Dr. Ahmed Adamu. I'm a university lecturer with Umar Musa Yar'Adua University, Katsina, Nigeria. I am the first ever elected global president of the Commonwealth Youth Council, which is the largest and the most diverse youth-led organization in the world. I am also a development expert, a leadership coach, and I'm also the Director General of the Pleasant Library and Book Club here in Nigeria. I have been into youth development activities, supporting young people and helping them to realize their purpose.
What does a chairperson or a global president of the Commonwealth Youth Council do?
Well, like I've said, the Commonwealth Youth Council is the official voice of the young people of the 53 Commonwealth nations, and I'm the first ever elected president of the council. Our target is to give the voice to the young people of these countries and sit down alongside the head of government to represent and protect the interests of the young people, especially when it comes to prioritization of agenda within the Commonwealth. There are a lot of resources and commitment made by the head of government, and the young people being the largest portion of the population of the Commonwealth, making up to 60% of the population, and numbering to 1.2 billion young people across these countries. They need a voice because they are the future of the Commonwealth. And when I got elected in Sri Lanka in 2013, and we tried our best to put the foundation for the council. And so far, this council has been 4 years old now. So we are going to have the second transition, and after the election that took place in 2015. And now we're going to have election in this year again. Someone from Caribbean is going to take over. So the council is just the official voice. My role is also drive the leadership of the council so that the young people will have coordination, a united body that they will always go to present their own interests, their own ideas, and how they want to be represented. And if they need support, we are there to represent them at the global stage as well, and to ensure unity and enhance the regional and national unity and coordination of the young people and the youth development activities.
Dr. Adamu, I want to come back to the work that you do. I mean, you seem to do quite a lot of things at the same time. We'll come back to that, but perhaps before we talk about that, it's always good to get to know the person. Where did you grow up and how old are you?
I was born here in Katsina, in Nigeria, in 1985. Precisely 12 March, which means if you are good with numbers, you realize that I'm going to be 33 years old next month. And I was born here and I grew up here. And the memories I think that I can remember when I was young was a young boy who is very passionate and in love with football. But my parents don't want me to play football, so we always I always had to go and play football, and my parents have to always beat me up. And I know I'm someone that always, my parents they gave us strict discipline. It was all about schooling, morning and evening. So I didn't have a lot of friends. We didn't have a lot of leisure when we were young. So we had a lot of disciplined upbringing. And I think these are some of the memories I think I can remember when I was young.
Okay, so you're in Katsina State. For people who don't know where that is, how would you describe Katsina State?
Well, Kazakhstan State is the last city or the last state within the map of the country towards the northwest of Nigeria. It bordered the Niger Republic. So from Katsina, you can just cross over to Niger Republic. Some of the local towns in Katsina is just like 1 minute or 2 minutes drive to Niger Republic. Or from here, where I'm talking to you right now, it will take 30 minutes drive to enter Niger Republic. So we bordered the Niger Republic, and it's a very quiet city and a very, very peaceful, like I said, but I think one of the cheapest town you can ever find within the country. And it's a country of the elites. So most people in this country, they go into government work, they go to school to study. There are not so much of economic activities in terms of business and trade, unlike states like Kano, where you have most of these trading and commercial activities. But in Katsina, it's a cool town, more of elites that go to school, and we're able to produce most of the leaders of the country. We produce the president of the country twice or three times, the vice president of the country once as well. And so many other leaders of the country came from this state. So it's a state of history, heritage, and this is a city or the town where when the British came first to the northern part of Nigeria, this is the city they first came, and so it's a city of long heritage. We have a lot of history, and it's a city that produced the first secondary school in the north. So it's one of the historic city that you will always be remembered when you're telling about the history of the north or the Nigeria at large.
With your education, one can argue that you can go just about anywhere in the world, and yet you choose Katsina. Is there a specific reason why you choose to remain within the Katsina state?
Well, I like this question because this has been the question many people asked me, and despite the opportunities I have around the world to stay and work over there, and I made this decision, and I'm happy about this decision to come down to my locality to serve my people, because I have known how difficult was it for me to grow up and how lucky I was and privileged I was to have these extraordinary opportunities, privileges around this country and the world at large, and acquiring one of the best education and going to some of the best universities around the world. I look back and see where I came from. I thought of the future generation. Every generation has a responsibility to make. And I didn't measure my success based on how much money and how much success I achieve for my own self, but how much am I contributing to other people's success and progress? And I think I'm so much needed. I'm so much needed here in my own hometown, in my own community, where I come from. I owe a debt to my own community. And if I stay somewhere else in Europe or in America, wherever, some of these countries, I think I've not been just to myself, because, like I said, my own principle is my measurement of success is how much are you contributing to other people's success. So I always see my success in my ability to help others succeed. So what help can I give to you? That's what I always ask. So being altruistic, and I found it very suitable and much needed here in my own community, because this is where I can give back to my own immediate community and I can make immediate differences. And I believe when I was at the Commonwealth, at the global stage, I found it very difficult to make direct difference in the lives of people when you're dealing with a lot of countries. So I don't count the scope, how large you go, but how many people you're able to touch in terms of making difference in their lives. I look at my society and say, if I cannot change the world, I think I can change something in the lives of some people or all the people within my community. So this is why I even chose to be a university lecturer. I could have gone for other white collar jobs. I can work in company or organization where I go from 9 to 5, get my salary and go home and sleep. But I chose to be a lecturer because being a teacher you have a very good opportunity to mold and become a role model for other people. So because people will look up to you, you will give them knowledge, you inspire them. And I'm kind of person that don't believe in just schooling because I believe in learning.
Maybe Dr. Adamu, can you maybe for us to understand why you currently are a university lecturer, make us understand the journey you took in acquiring the qualifications that you have. Which schools did you go to, and what qualifications did you obtain along the way?
Yeah, starting from the first school I have gone or I attended was the primary school. I went here in Katsina, which is called Rafindadi Primary School. I know you don't have any idea about what that name means, but it's called Rafindadi Primary School. And then I went to the junior secondary school in what we call South Nagogo College of Arabic and Islamic Studies here in Katsina for my junior secondary school. And then I went to Government Commercial College, Meadwa, for my senior secondary school. And then from secondary school, I went directly to the university, which is the Bayero University, Kano, where I read economics education in my first degree. And from there, I went to United Kingdom, precisely Dundee, where I did my master's degree in energy studies with specialization in oil and gas economics at the University of Dundee. I returned back to Nigeria in 2011, and then a year after I went back to UK for my PhD. I did my PhD in the area of petroleum economics at the Newcastle University at Newcastle, the United Kingdom. So far, this is about the basic educational experiences or the schools I've attended.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of learning. I'm gonna go back to Rafindadi. You mentioned that I may have no idea what it means, but perhaps you need to tell us what it means. What is Rafindadi? Does it have any specific meaning?
That's very funny. Okay, Rafindadi means river nice, or river, right?
Yeah.
River. If the river is nice, when you test the river, the water in the river is tasty, it's nice to taste.
Once you had completed your PhD, did you then go straight to lecturing?
I started teaching at a secondary school called Government Senior Secondary School, Kambarawa. And after that, when I went to the UK and came back with my master's degree, I applied for a lecturing job at Umar Musa Yar'Adua University, and I got the job as a lecturer. And that's what I've been doing up to now. So I was a teacher at a secondary school where I taught economics. And I think that's the only job I did apart from what I'm doing right now as a lecturer in Umar Musa Yar'Adua University.
Yeah, I'm wondering once again, and you've probably touched on some of these aspects earlier when you were describing why you ended up as a lecturer. But what are some of the personal attributes that you think have led to some of your successes?
I don't want to always be saying some of the nice things about me, but I think for the purpose of this interview, I may have to say some of these things, which number one is humility. And so I found this principle of philosophy of being humble one of the most paying attribute for any young person or any human being. When you are humble, wherever you find yourself, try to be humble and then show up, then show that you are better than someone else. Just come down to your level, below your level, and don't think you are better than others. So I think humility is one thing. I think knowledge is something I found that is very instrumental in every person's success. When you are knowledgeable, you are educated. I didn't say when you have school certificate. When you are knowledge and educated, you are likely to succeed in life. And how educated you are is determined by how you are willing to learn more and more beyond what you already know. If you think you know it all, then you are not knowledgeable. So knowledgeable person or educated person is someone who always willing to learn more, who always think he doesn't know it, he still has so much more to learn. And I think the third one is always believing in yourself. No one can become anything without self-confidence. And I believe this kind of trust or the confidence I was able to build is what inspired me to also try so many other things without being afraid of failing. So I think everyone should always try many things. Anything that comes to your mind, just give it a shot. Life is too short too. And once you try, never fear failure. Failure gives you lessons. Failure gives you feedbacks. And I believe in myself. I always try to do something new. I always try to excel in what I do. I think some of the attributes I believe have really helped me.
No, thank you for sharing that. And as a lecturer in development and planning, what is that? You did your PhD in petroleum economics, but you're now a
Yes.
lecturer in development and planning consulting. What does that entail?
Well, like I said, in life there are two things. There's what you call passion, and there's what we call school discipline, or school profession. I found my passion when I started going much deeper into the youth leadership or youth representation or involvement in youth development organizations. I found myself learning so much more from my own experience than what I had learned from school. So in school, my profession is petroleum economist, which I like as well. But I have so much passion in personal development. I have so much passion for societal development. And I'm kind of person that always try to help others succeed. So I found myself always involving in helping people and making people succeed, helping people to succeed in their lives. And that builds my skills in development and in leadership as well. And in addition to my previous experience, the leadership I had in the Commonwealth has really exposed me to so many experiences that not everyone will have that privilege of having such experience. I had opportunity of mingling and interacting with global leaders. I had one-on-one chat with them. I had breakfast, dinner with global leaders. I spoke to global leaders and leaders of all these countries, 53 Commonwealth nations, in many occasions. And that has really enhanced my confidence and trust in myself. And I learned a lot along the way when I was leading at the Commonwealth. And when I came back home to Africa, I saw the gap, the huge gap between what is expected of a personal development and what we obtain here in Africa or down here in Nigeria. So I realized that young people have so much more to cover because young people rely so much on university education or school education, thinking that that's enough. But I realized going around the world, I have seen how the world is moving very fast. And I realized that there's so much more we need to pick up with the pace of our development, and we have to go beyond school. So the reason why I become a development expert is building or coming from my own experience at the youth development activities or youth development experience. And I say, okay, how can I use this experience to help others succeed as well? So I started advising some national and international organizations on how to set priorities, how to develop their strategic plans. And I look back at our young people here down in Nigeria, and I've seen they are lacking a lot of personal development skills and leadership skills, which these skills are not being taught within classroom walls. So I say, okay, what can we do? So initially I have been invited to many programs. I gave speeches for 30 minutes, 1 hour, or sometimes less than that. And I realized just 30 minutes or 1 hour is not enough to change someone's life. So what we need to do is to have the young people in a place for 3 weeks, to give them training, to give them skills. That's what you make difference. So I'm the kind of person who I'm always worried about impact I'm going to make. It's not about the show I'm going to produce or that I'm going to make, but the impact I'm going to produce for every little thing I do. So that's why I came up with the leadership and personal development program. I have so far covered 5 states in Nigeria, and I have a dream of covering the entire 36 states of the Federation. I have so far changed the life of over 500 young people and professionals. And this is the direct impact and real impact that for the whole life they will live. That such training will make huge difference in their lives, and it will be instrumental to their development. So I'm not counting how much people I was able to reach out, but I'm counting on how much difference am I going to make in the lives of people. What I'm doing right now is I'm writing a book about all these skills, how to acquire these skills, why these skills are important. That's what I'm doing right now, and I have a couple of months to go. And after writing this book, and I'm going to continue with the physical training around the country. And there have been some requests around Africa, like countries like Sierra Leone, to go there to do this kind of program. So I'm looking up to opening up for other African countries, because the training is filling some of this development and personal development gap.
Dr. Adamu, I wouldn't be doing the interview justice if I don't ask what most of our listeners will want to know. Where do you get the time? What is your process? I mean, how do you get to all of the things that you've mentioned? And as if all of that was not enough, you still have time to write a book. Where do you get the time?
Well, I think it's about prioritization. I'm always organized. I always go with my notebook. I write my daily schedules. Every single day I have a goal set. So I have to achieve a goal on a daily basis. The only time that I'm not working is when I'm sleeping. So I have to many times reduce the time that I sleep, because one of my entrepreneurship mentor, he told me that you have to sleep, you have to work for 18 hours a day when you are young. So for you to succeed, because what you do right now as a young person will determine what you become in life. And sleeping is not something that you can never exhaust. You can never sleep, even if you sleep for 20 hours or 24 hours, that will not be enough. The following day, you still have to sleep. Mm-hmm. But when you lose time, you've lost that time forever. And so I think if I could have a body that would not need to sleep or will not get tired, or I can borrow additional hour from someone, I would have loved to have that. So it's not about additional hours, it's about management of your time and knowing what is important, what is urgent, and knowing what to do and what not to do.
Do you believe that there are things that you perhaps sacrifice, things that you're not getting to in working? Let's say you're working 18 hours a day. What are some of the things that you're not doing? I mean, you've already mentioned some, but are the things that you consciously are aware of that you're not getting to?
Yeah, I like to rest. I like to relax. I love relaxing. I love sleeping, and I love playing PlayStation, FIFA. I play PlayStation, FIFA in PlayStation, the TV game. I love doing that so much, and these are some of the things I'm really missing. I love watching movies. I'm missing some of these things, but I think it's worth the sacrifice.
And okay, you mentioned PlayStation, you mentioned movies. Are there still any hobbies left in your life that you get to, or is it just all work all the time?
Yeah. Well, I forgot to mention football. You know, I play football too. My teammates are always calling me, "Come, doctor, let's go for match, let's go for train." I say, "No, I want to come, but I don't have time. So I'm always giving people excuses. But like you said, I'm always working. I don't do anything later. The reason I do that is not working, is eating food. If sometimes even while I eat, I try to peep around and do some work.
I mean, as 1,000 African Voices, we're always interested to hear what our guests think about instances or places where you believe the African continent is failing, as well as some of the successes that you have seen. So you've thought about some of the problems that afflict the African continent. What are, in your view, some of those failures, as well as some of the notable successes?
I wouldn't call it African failures, but I will call it African challenges. And this has to be traced back to our history, where we were told that we were colonized by other people. And I don't think using that word colonized is very good for our own development right now. And I think, to my own philosophy, Africa was not and was never colonized. Once you think that you are colonized and you have a master, And that means you are less than your master. You are always obedient, and below that you are master. And so I think the coming of other people from other parts of the world into Africa to take up Africans as slaves and exploit some of the African resources and introduce some of the external democratic and economic processes that are not inherited within African system, and we accepting that will affect what we become today and what we become in the future. So what I always say, the coming of the Europeans and other people into Africa was illegal, and it was exploitation of the human and natural resources of the people of Africa, and there wasn't any compensation for that. And if we adopt that and we celebrate that, that means we endorse it and we agree that we have masters. All I believe human beings are equal. Whatever any person has done before, he wasn't smarter than us. No any big technology or civilization that happened that was made by someone who was smarter than Africans. And I believe everything you do in life is first determined by what you think of yourself. If you lose your self-confidence because you think someone is better than you, when you think that some countries are better than others, I think that will lower your self-esteem and you wouldn't believe in yourself. For example, the world's called developed and developing country is something that I don't want to hear, because there is no country that is developed. No any developed country in the world. There is no developed country. Every country is developing country. Because if you say African countries, some of the African countries are developing and some others are developed, so you have already created another barrier. You are creating another discrimination between Africa and other countries around the world. Because right now, even if you talk about America, America is a developing country because right now America is trying to also progress, trying to be better or try to develop. The same way we are also trying to develop. So every country, no any country has reached a particular level or stage of development and say, okay, we are okay, we stopped. This is all over and we are stopping here. We are okay. So we are always trying to make, it's a race and it's non-stop. You don't have a destination, you just keep going. So even using these terms, colonial masters or colonized countries or colonies, or using the term developed and developing countries is something that's not giving Africa a big hope for the future. And I think another challenge I found in Africa is Africa, we have huge talents, we have huge resources, we have creative minds, but the problem we have is within ourselves. We sometimes fight each other, we compete with each other. When we have someone who is coming up as a promising person, what we need to do is to support that person, not to envy that person. And I think supporting and promoting each other is what we need. And I think that's why I believe one of the objectives of your channel or the 1,000 African Voices, I think, is something that will really help to promoting ourselves and bringing up the spotlight of Africa, people to know what Africans can do, what they have achieved. And I think I really appreciate this kind of platform, this opportunity. And I think Africans, one of the challenges Africans face is we have to think of ourselves as one people. We shouldn't look at ourselves as a country, as a region, as a town, as a city, as a county, or as an ethnic group or as a religious group. We shouldn't look at these differences we have. We have so much more in common together that we can pull our strengths and unity together to be better than any other group of countries around the world. And this can only happen when we address the last challenge, which is about our perception about learning. I've started talking about learning or education. In Africa, one of the challenges we face is we think that knowledge is when you go to school. Knowledge is when you get a certificate from the school. But I think to me, knowledge is beyond just going to school. Education is something that you can get outside the school. And nobody should judge you, should measure your ability based on the certificate you have, but based on what you can do with your hands, with the skills you have. You shouldn't care about someone having a PhD certificate or master's degree certificate or publications. What difference have you made? What skills do you have? What knowledge have you created? And even your promotion, what you become, shouldn't be based on with the school you go, but what you can do, the skills you have. And I think that's why we have huge number of unemployment, because there are a lot of people with university degrees, certificates, but they have no job. While they are supposed to be the people that will be creating the job. And if someone who is supposed to create the job is also looking for the job, then how could someone who is supposed to get the job? So I think, to me, unemployment problem is what attributed to so much economic hardship in some of the African countries. And this has to be traced back to what we believe or what we think about school. School or universities are supposed to train people to create jobs. Young people, when they come out from universities, they should think of creating job. If you will finish university, but you cannot create a job, that means your degree has no value. So our graduates, young people, have to be trained. Our education system has to be skills-based training. Let me give you an example. Steve Jobs, when he found Apple company, and he didn't have a degree. So if he had to wait to get the degree, he wouldn't have found Apple company.
It's amazing how many of the guests of 1000 African Voices come back to the same point, that we need to move away from thinking of education as a certificate-based thing, and rather saying, what can you contribute to essentially the society or community within which you find yourself? So it's quite interesting that you also, someone with a PhD, also comes back to that point that we really need to convert the knowledge that we have into something tangible. Dr. Adamu, as we start wrapping up, I think the second last question I'll ask you is some of the things that you still want to achieve.
Well, I think I want to change the world. That's very ambitious. But I know it's something that you can do, but you can only change the world if you can change a little thing around you. To me, I think I want to change the mindset of people's perception about education. And I'm kind of person who believe or who really, really want to pass on information, knowledge, any knowledge I have, I want someone to have it. So I want to have educated society, and I want to have an open information knowledge that knowledge shouldn't cost you anything. And that's the kind of world I want to see, so that everyone will be informed. So access to information, access to knowledge shouldn't has to do with whether you are rich, or whether you live in an urban city, or your background, or whatever background you have. To me, I want to see a society where education is not measured by the certificate you have, but by what you can do, or the kind of personality you exhibit, or the difference you're able to make in the lives of people. I think I want to see a life where everybody will have equal access to basic requirements in life. These are basic things that everyone should have, irrespective of your economic status. That's why I want to see a world where we have responsible leadership, a leadership of people, where people are the forefront, where the poor is being taken care of, and we don't have the issue of corruption, and we have a leadership that is accountable to the people. And that's why I think all what we are talking about here, we cannot make such big difference if we don't participate in politics. Because participation in politics is what will give us a gateway to participating in policy making and implementation. And that's where we can really make the big difference in our lives. And if people should be willing to participate in politics, not just to get money, to make the lives of people better. I want to see a world where people are being called to contribute their quota by participating in politics and being elected into public positions so that they can make difference. Not just because they have money, not just because they come from a particular family, but because they have the passion to help people. And I want to see Africa where people are being elected into positions not because of their money, but because of their vision. And like someone said, the problem of Africa is that those with power have no idea, and those with ideas have no power. So I want to change that. That's the kind of world and Africa I want to see.
In 2016, you were nominated as one of the 100 most influential young Africans. How did it feel to be nominated?
Well, I don't take awards and recognitions so much of importance. I don't take it as something that I'm looking for, because I have this philosophy that once you are doing good things will come to you. And like I said in one of my famous quotes, and I said, if you are following my post, there was this statement I made, which I want to say right now. And it says, and I quote, insects are always attracted to light. You can be a light by being excellent and committed to what you do. And you will attract insects like fame, money, recognition, appreciation, and love to you. If you don't become a light, insects will run away from you no matter how hard you chase them. What I'm trying to say is make a difference in your life and the life of others. Once you do that, good things will come to you, and this can be power, money, appreciation, and award. But I felt humbled to be nominated among the 100 most influential young people, and that means we should keep doing what we are doing. We didn't do it for the award. We didn't do it for recognition. We didn't do it for money. We have a clean heart to make difference in the lives of people and in our own lives too. And that's our benefit. That's our own happiness. Once you are making difference, or you are adding value to, you are making people succeed, that's our prize. That's our happiness. So I'm honored to be named, and even eventually to be elected or selected as the African Young Personality of the Year, I think back in 2015. So I was elected, I think, as the African Young Personality of the Year, and then much later named among 100 young personality in Africa. I mean, influential young Africans in Africa, and much later in Nigeria. So there are many couple of other awards. I think I appreciated them, but that will mean we have to do more. That means what we are doing is being recognized, and that will be a boost to us.
For people who want to get hold of you, or people who want to continue this conversation, how do people get hold of you?
Well, I'm open and I am accessible on social media, especially Facebook. Once you search my name, Dr. Ahmed Adamu, you will find me. I have a page, I have an account, and I have a group. And my mobile phone number is up there on my page, and you can send me a direct message on my page. And on Twitter, I'm also there at Ahmed Adamu. And I think these are some of the direct access points that people can reach me directly.
On behalf of our listeners, Dr. Ahmed Adamu, thank you for making the time, and just thank you for being an ambassador of what Africanism is about.
Thank you so much, my brother. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. Bye now.
You've been listening to another episode of the Kungana Africa Project. Our sound engineer is Bandile Lukele. Kungana Africa, one voice at a time. Please join us next time as we bring you yet another interesting and exciting voice. Don't forget that you can find us on the Podbean app by searching for 1000 African Voices. It will really help our project if you sign up as a follower by clicking the follow button. You can get the show notes as well as stream the show on our website, which is 1000africanvoices.com. Our Twitter handle is @Kungana1000, 1000 African Voices, one Africa, one podcast, 1,000 voices. Till next time, take care.